Today, we're going to dive into what it looks like to actually reap the rewards of the success that you are creating for yourself. If you are someone who likes to jump straight into the next project or goal, or if you just feel like you constantly need to be saying yes as to not miss out on opportunities, this is going to be a really, really powerful episode for you. Welcome back to the Essence Shown podcast. I'm your host, your guide, your flow bestie, Olivia Heine. I'm an NLP and sacred success coach, and I'm here to help you revolutionize the way that you work so that you can start working like a woman in alignment with your body, holistically, with the cyclical nature that exists within and so without, in order to create success that is sacred. This is success that feels really motherfucking good. We are no longer here to sacrifice ourselves for the grind, no longer here to hustle to create some sort of outcome that we think we want that doesn't actually feel good at the end. That era is over. You are now stepping into your flow era. So welcome. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. These episodes come out every single Wednesday. So this is your invitation to step into this journey for yourself, to start reclaiming the way that you're working, start envisioning what it could look like, what success could look like, what freedom could look like in your life by working in alignment with your inner cycles like a woman. If you are not new here, but you haven't clicked that subscribe button or follow button, what's good, my girl? Let's do that right now. Click that button, join along, make sure you get updated every single week. And please take a minute after the show to leave a rating, a review, a comment in the comment section. It really, really helps the reach of this podcast to get your feedback. Also, I just love hearing from you and connecting with you and all that good stuff. So make sure you do that as well. So let's dive into today's episode. We are talking about the third phase in the cycle of success, also known as the cycle of creation. This is a concept that I work with my one-on-one coaches. I do this inside my courses, specifically inside my one-of-a-kind mini course, Cyclical Ascension. And what this is a framework for creating your cyclical success strategy. So let me backtrack for one quick hot second. One of the ways that we can learn to really activate success for ourselves is by following a cyclical method for success. So I have a lot of videos on this. I'm not going to dive into the linear versus cyclical success methods right now, but you can go click over and watch those. And with that, we are shifting into a more cyclical way of working when we take on this revolutionary approach by working like a woman. And so when we start to do that, we start to see that there's actually a flowing cyclical process that all projects, all creations, all physical beings go through in order to culminate something, in order to bring something to fruition, basically. And that is what I call the cycle of creation. And it does loosely follow your literal menstrual cycle. So the womb cycle that you go through every single month. So if you're familiar with cycle syncing, this will sound familiar. But I like to take it that one step further to actually use that strategy, use that cycle, and apply it to how you're creating and achieving your goals and your greatest successes. Does that sound good? We have been going over the cycle of success for the last couple of weeks. I have an intro guide, beginner's guide to the cycle of success, where I break all of that down. So if you are finding this video for the first time, you haven't watched that intro video, the beginner's guide yet, I'm going to link it right here. I highly recommend that you do that because, again, that is going to be the foundation. It's going to make everything here make sense. Otherwise, you might feel a little bit lost in the sauce. And for the last couple of weeks, I started going through every single phase individually. So first phase was innovation. Second phase was illumination. And then today we have the third phase, which is culmination. So again, go back and watch those episodes or listen on your own time, as those are really going to help you kind of put these building blocks into place so that you can actually start activating this cyclical strategy or the cycle of success in how you plan for your goals, your projects, your work, your creations, all the good things. So we are talking about the third phase today, culmination, which is really the equivalent to the season of fall. So if we look through the seasons, I love using the seasons as a guide, as a framework, because it really reflects back to us very clearly what's happening in each of these phases. And so when we start to feel that fall energy, which is literally the season that we are currently in right now, there is this shift from this outward, visible, excited, expansive, energetic summer vibe that we've been feeling all summer long if you're in a place in the world that just experienced summer. And then there's that shift into fall, which is that movement of coming inwards. We're wanting to spend more time inside. It's that back to school energy. We're getting focused. We're getting back into routine. So I'm going to talk about what that actually looks like in the process of your creation. So as you're creating your goals, what does this phase of goal creation actually look like? What kind of work can you be doing in it? I'm going to be breaking that down. But before I do that, I think it's really important to note, and I mentioned this at the very beginning of this episode in the intro, that this is really a season that is disregarded in the way that we're taught and conditioned to show up in work. So I mentioned at the beginning, if you're someone who likes to jump from one goal right into the next thing or one project into the next, like check it off and then immediately you start the next thing. Or if you're someone who kind of feels like, oh, I really feel like I need to say yes to every opportunity that comes through to me, because what if it doesn't show up again? Or what if I say no to this person and then next time they won't ask me anymore? And all of these kind of scarcity feelings start to come up of, I need to keep going. I need to say yes. I need to do the next thing. And what the dominant narratives in society teach us about work and success is to spend all of our time in the seasons of summer and spring. So basically, the first two phases of the cycle of creation is what are taught in goal setting strategies, which is innovation and illumination. And to just break that down really quickly, it is the planning and the executing. That is how we are taught to achieve goals in society. It's okay, I'm going to make a plan and then I'm going to take action, and then I'm going to make the next plan and then I'm going to take action again. And it's this endless loop and this endless cycle. But we are literally spending all of our time just in these two seasons of the whole entire cyclical process. And so what I really teach and focus in on, and the power of the cycle of success, is that we are completing the entire cycle in the process of creating your project, your goal, whatever it is that you are currently working towards. And that is where the shift from summer into fall can actually feel a little bit sticky. It can feel a little bit uncomfortable because we are not used to making this transition. We're used to taking summer and then going right back into spring again and being like, okay, what's the next thing? How can I plan for this thing? Okay, what's coming up next? How can I start executing again? And when we spend all of our time in spring and summer, because maybe you're thinking right now, well, that sounds great. Why not just be in a constant loop of creating and executing? And that's really where the problem with burnout starts to come in, energy fatigue. We start to burn our bodies into the ground. So you can start having literal physical symptoms that are coming up, like adrenal fatigue. There might be digestive issues. There might be cyclical issues. So like you're not having consistent cycles. You're having a lot of pain, all kinds of symptoms related to that. There might also be acne, physical things that start coming up because our bodies are literally saying like, whew, we need a break. This is too much. And at one point, it's not sustainable anymore to be creating success that way. And again, like I said before, that's when we start to actually create burnout in our lives and in our bodies. So this phase, culmination, which is equivalent, like I said, to the fall season, is so, so important in the process of you creating and working towards the goal that you're currently focused on. If this phase isn't part of it, you are missing a really crucial piece of actually creating the goal that you want to create with the feeling that you want to create it with. And that means having success that is sustainable success that feels really good in your body, where your nervous system feels safe, where you feel like, yeah, I can hold this. I'm not stressed about losing it. I'm not worried about what I need to do next. Like that tends to be the thing that I see happen more and more over and over again to clients who come through and they're like, I got the thing that I wanted, but it didn't feel the way I expected it to feel. I still didn't feel fulfilled. I still felt stressed. I still felt overwhelmed. I still felt burnt out. Or I got to the place that I thought I wanted to, and then I was burnt out. Like then everything crashed around me. Everything started to crumble. This is going to fix that for you. This is going to be the process of healing that. This is going to be the process of actually changing the way that you end up stepping into that success at the end, because this is going to be what makes it sustainable. So let's get into it. The phase of culmination, and the reason I like to relate it to fall is because it really is this harvesting phase. This is the phase where we are really coming in and you get to reap the rewards of your work. Everything that you just created, you get to start to celebrate a completion of it in some way, shape, or form. It is also a time to really get into the nitty-gritty of refining your work, managing your time in like bigger focused time blocks. It's a really great way to be working during this phase, and starting to prepare for hibernation, because essentially what we do in fall in a seasonal sense is we begin to harvest. And what we harvest then is in preparation for what we need to stock up on for hibernation during the season of winter. Are you following this metaphor? So here are a few ways to start to work with this culmination phase. And this is either how you want to work throughout your monthly womb cycle. So the fall equivalent phase is also known as the luteal phase within your womb cycle. But I want to encourage you to zoom out and really see this as the phase of your project creation. So what is the current goal that you're focusing on right now? And what phase of that are you at? Are you in the planning stage? Are you in the execution stage? And if you've just completed the execution stage, that means that you're coming into the culmination stage now, which is really starting to focus on these kinds of work that I'm going to explain to you right now. So number one, reaping the rewards, harvesting time. This is celebration. Okay. So really seeing, what have I just created? How can I celebrate what I've just created? How can I start to take what I've just created and pay it forward? Meaning, again, like setting up for hibernation, which means you reflecting on what you've just created, understanding like what worked really well, what didn't maybe work so well. And one really important piece here is you are coming face to face with the inner critic. You are coming face to face with the part of yourself that's like, we probably should have done that better, or we probably should have worked harder, and really noticing what comes up mindset wise here right now. This is also, just to like tie it back to your monthly cycle, one of the reasons why we get PMS during like right before our periods is because this energy is coming up, like this critical energy, this feeling of like emotions that are bubbling to the surface. And as it pertains to your creation process, so actually creating this goal that you're working on, letting those things be there, really making space in this phase for the mindset work, for not letting yourself spiral down into a place of, I should have done more, I'm not good enough, I needed to do better next time, I need to push myself harder next time. This is also a really great time to get into the nitty-gritty, like I said, so focusing on refinement. So this can either be in reflection of what you just created. So let's say that you just launched something really big, you have new clients or students coming into an offer that you have, you just sold a product, you just completed a big project at work. And so this is really the time of like, okay, I get to celebrate this and I get to have that time to reflect and see, what do I want to change moving forward? Or this could be a time where you've just completed a big piece of the project. It's not like fully completed, but maybe you just finished writing the draft for your novel. And so now this is the time to start refining that, to go into the details. So like the biggest chunk of the project is essentially like completed, the first draft, we can call it. And now it's like getting into the details of editing, refining, cleaning up, reading through all of that stuff, fine tuning your work essentially. And that can be in reflection after something is completed for the next round of it next time, or it could be that you are still in the process of completing this goal and therefore are just taking a pause moment to refine and edit what you've created up until this point, which is also so, so powerful. With that being said, this is also a really important time for some very clear, decisive decision making. So if something didn't go super well in the project that you just created, what's some of the decisions that need to be made moving forward? If there's a big shift happening, it's a really great time to tune in. And essentially what you want to be doing in this phase of your creation process is starting to move the energy inward. So we've just been really external with planning, launching, talking to people, and now it's time to check into the intuitive side of the creation process, which is, what are some downloads that are coming up here? What is something new that I maybe want to share? What's something that maybe I didn't think about before, but I now have the space post executing on it, post being visible, post being outward energy focused, that I can now come back into myself and receive that message. At the end of the day, this phase of culmination is this kind of bridge between being externally focused, launching, coming back into yourself, then reflecting before you step into a phase of hibernation, which is phase number 4, which I'll talk about next week, regeneration. So I encourage you to see this as a transition phase of coming back home to yourself, of preparing for what you need to come and start slowing down. And this is a really great time to practice that slowing down, to practice more internal self-care, to practice scheduling less on your calendar, to practice spending more time in your home, doing things that you love, nurturing yourself, doing any kind of self-care ritual, incorporating new routines and rituals into what is going to nourish and support your body in the process. This is just a really great time to begin embedding more of these holistic approaches to success and recognizing and practicing for yourself that the more you give yourself space for these things that feel good, these things that make your body feel good, these things that give you a pause, that allow you to clear your mind, that is going to directly affect your success and what you're creating in a very, very positive way. So that is phase number 3, culmination. Let me know in the comments how that resonated with you, what your biggest takeaway is from phase number 3. And I'm curious to know how often you actually take yourself to phase 3. How often in a process of your project creation or even in your monthly cycle do you allow yourself to pause, to reflect, to be with whatever emotions and feelings or anger or negativity might be coming up? It is there to teach you a lesson, and that is what this phase is really about. It is a form of integration that is tied with the culmination and success, that climactic point of whatever it is that you've been creating. If you want to dive deeper into this and you're like, I don't want to wait for all of these episodes to come out week by week. Plus, I will tell you right now that I'm only skimming the surface as to what goes into each of these phases. And I personally actually break them down even one step further within my coaching because there's so many intricacies as we apply this to actually goal setting and goal creation. So if you do want to take that step further, I invite you to explore my one-of-a-kind mini course, Cyclical Ascension, which you can check out through the link in the bio below and see if that is the right fit for you. I really encourage this as a step in point regardless, because it is going to map out and help you map out this whole cycle of success in order to create your very own cyclical success strategy. So that is literally your foundation, your framework for how you want to be showing up to work and how you want to be executing on the goals and desires you have to see them come into fruition with far more ease, more time, more energy, more freedom, all of those sacred success qualities. I also want to invite you to join me for my only free monthly event that I do, which is the upcoming Cyclical Flow Planning Workshop happening the first Monday of every single month. So you can get the details to that in the link below as well. And that's basically where we dive into the cycle of success. So what I've been talking about, these 4 phases, and planning your upcoming month in alignment with your womb or with the moon, and then layering that onto this cyclical success strategy. So actually goal setting in alignment with this, not just following your womb cycle with this, which I pair those 2 things together. But like I said, we're taking it that one step further. We want to actually activate this in a bigger way for your success. So I would love to see you there. I would love to see you inside Cyclical Ascension. And I will see you back here next week where we will wrap up the cycle of success with phase 4, regeneration.